So let's talk about breathing and bracing. This is one of the most important things that you can learn. So when you breathe and brace the right way, it helps improve stability in your lower back, but it also builds your core. So everything that you do in the gym, you need core stability for, and you need to be able to breathe and brace the right way. So let's first talk about how to breathe and brace. I want you to think about your breathing like filling up a vase of water. So if this is your water, picture that to be a vase. And if we were gonna fill it up, it would fill up from the bottom up, right? It wouldn't fill from the top down, it fell from the bottom up. I want you to think about your breathing in the same way. So when we breathe, we wanna breathe through our bottom hand first and then our upper hand. So as we breathe, we don't wanna breathe in through the lungs only, we wanna breathe through the belly and then the lungs. So as we breathe, our lower hand goes out, then our lung fills. So envision again, breathing in through the stomach, all the way up through the chest. So we wanna think about our body like being a nice one unit, one nice tight unit. So taking this down, let's talk next about how we can support our back with breathing and bracing. So how does it support your back? What does that mean? Because I'm sure you've heard that before. So if this is our body, and this is our cervical spine, thoracic spine, lumbar spine, hip, femur, knee, calf, foot. This would be like our arm, and this is our person. Okay? So we're gonna zoom in right here to this part of the body. We're gonna zoom into our core, from the neck to the hip. And when you think about our body here, see we have this nice curve in our lower back. So we have that curve in our lumbar back. You wanna think about when we're loaded with weight, when we're holding weight or we have weight on our back, there's pressure here in our lower back, okay? So when we're compressed, we have pressure in our lower back, how do we combat that? How do we protect that? By putting pressure back against that spine. So it's the breathing and bracing to combat the pressure of that lower back. Does that make sense? So we want to think about this as our body. I also want to take this one step further. And I want to talk about if we drew an arrow out from our shoulder, right? So if I were to go like this, and there was an arrow from our hip, okay? Do you see how these two lines are nice and straight? So we want to envision this as a square. This is a nice square, that's our body. When we're squatting or hinging or moving, I want you to think about maintaining this square, okay? So as we squat, you can lean forward in your squat as long as you have a nice square, okay? And so we're gonna talk about this concept next. What we don't wanna do is arch this lower back excessively, making the square shape open, okay? We want the square to be closed. So again, if I had an arrow from my shoulder and an arrow from my hip and I'm squatting, I wanna breathe and brace, keeping this nice and tight and not letting this open or close. So that means as I'm squatting, I can lean forward. What we don't wanna do is arch forward and have an excessive arch in our back. That's where we get breakdown in our squat or breakdown in our movements. So again, lunging too. So if we're lunging, same thing. We don't want to open and close. So I want you to think about the bottom of your rib cage and the top of your hip. Okay, so you put your finger on the top of your hip, pinky finger on hip, thumb on the bottom of the rib cage. And we want to close this gap. This doesn't mean to round the whole back out and collapse into yourself. You still want to have your chest up, but you want to draw your rib cage down into your hip. Okay, that compresses that core. And again, like you're going to take a punch to the gut, you're bracing your abs. You're not sucking in. Sucking in does nothing for us. That's not active. You want to brace your abs down. So you want to contract everything in here, almost acting like your abs are bricks and you're stacking your bricks. You're not expanding your bricks. And so when we're squatting and our back starts to arch, you're losing that contraction. It means your abs aren't on, okay? So that's what I want you to envision. Being a square, our rib cage is drawn down, we're a nice square. As we squat, we're gonna hold that square all the way down and all the way up. We don't wanna lose it as we squat, and we don't wanna go the opposite way either and dive our chest down. Okay, so what are the great ways to turn the abs on? How do we know if we feel our abs? This is one of my favorite drills. You wanna lay on your back. You can do this with a dumbbell, but it's easier with a kettlebell. Today we're gonna use the kettlebell, and we're gonna put your feet on the wall. Let me scoot this back a little bit. You wanna be at a nice 90-degree angle here. You're gonna take your kettlebell, and you're gonna lay it in your belly, okay, kind of down low, and you're gonna lean the handles into your thighs, okay, so just to keep it from rolling around. So you can see how it's kind of sinking in to my belly. I always put my hands on the ground and create lat tension, because whenever you're bracing your core, you need to be bracing with your lats too. So if you're back squatting, deadlifting, whatever you're doing, any holding a goblet squat, you're always engaging that lat. So I'm gonna press my the backs of my hands into the ground, driving my elbows down towards my sides, and I'm gonna breathe from the bottom up. I'm gonna fill the lower part of my stomach first, and then my upper part. So make sure that as you breathe here, I'm gonna brace, I'm gonna breathe into my lower belly. 1, 2, 3, relax. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, down. Now notice I'm talking to you. So when we breathe into our belly like that, I'm gonna do it one more time. So what we want to avoid here, and this is what I see often, is people go through their top lung. See that, how that came up first? I'll do it again. Don't go through a lung and then push out through your belly, okay? You wanna make sure that that air is filling that lower belly. So you're breathing in through the lower belly and then pushing up, 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 up. Hold and down. So that's great for a 1 rep max, but now you're gonna ask me, hey Lisa, what if I have to do 5 reps? What you don't wanna do in lifting, whether you do CrossFit, powerlifting, strength training, you don't wanna lose this brace every rep, okay? So if you're a CrossFitter, you have to learn how to brace here and breathe here in your top lung so you don't pass out, right? If we hold our breath the whole time, we'll pass out. But if you go and let that bell fall, if you let all your tension out, you're gonna collapse in your movement. So if you're a CrossFit athlete, or again, an athlete that's doing any more than 1 rep, you wanna make sure that when you wanna learn or teach yourself how to hold, rep 3, notice that bell's not falling. So we wanna get out of the habit of in the middle of your squats. And that, or deadlifts or any movement. And that is major important for your lifting. So if you're squatting, deadlifting, anything for reps, you don't wanna be losing your brace. You wanna be able to breathe through your core while holding this brace down below. So a great drill, make sure that you're focusing on breathing with the lower ab before your upper ab. Don't suck it in, and watch that rib, that bottom of the rib cage, top of the hip bone, make sure it's connected and not opening when you're moving.